When I was 11 years old, I fell in love with a little red haired girl. It was at sixth grade camp, and I don't know if they still have sixth grade camp. I don't know how many of you have been to sixth grade camp in your life. When I went, it was an absolutely terrifying place. It was kind of like Lord of the Flies meets any movie you've ever seen about prison together, all out in the woods. Just a very barbaric, savage place. The cabins, they only had three walls. They were exposed to the elements. It kind of reminds me of Camp Krusty on The Simpsons, where the wind and rain is coming into the cabin, and that fourth wall was just missing. And we're all in our bunks every night, just like shivering and terrified. Most of us, we had never left home before. We're 11 years old, never left our parents' home in our lives, and now here we are in this just horrible, creaky old cabin that's open to the elements. A bear can come in and snatch you anytime it wants. It was just a brutal place. And it was all the sixth grade classes. This was in Northern California. All the sixth grade classes of the four elementary schools in our town, they all had camp together. And so a lot of kids that we had never seen before in our lives who were in the sixth grade, just like us, finishing elementary school. And it just so happened that the cruelest kids, the meanest bullies, they were the ones that just rose to the top of the pecking order in sixth grade camp. And so it was a place that was defined by cruelty and meanness. And the counselors added to that too. Our counselors, I mean, they were not very far separated from childhood themselves. Most of them were high schoolers or just barely out of high school, 17-year-olds. And so these counselors, they just, they would call us all these horrible insults, and they thought they were being fun with us, and they thought they were being likable and jovial. And that first night, we all got into our bunks, and we're all in our little sleeping bags, just terrified. The wind's howling outside, and our counselor, he was a guy named Jamie. He was 16, I think. And he said, "So, guys, what do you guys think about the chicks out there? What do you guys think? You see any girls you want to get on top of?" Now, we all chuckled and we all laughed in that kind of bro laugh. And the fact is, none of us had any idea what he was talking about. Like what? Like wrestle with a girl? Like stand on her head? What is he talking about? But of course, we had to look manly, so we all said, "Oh, I mean, yeah, I think so. Is that a good thing? Yeah, sure." But I met my love at sixth grade camp. I met the little red-haired girl on the second day. I mean, I was terrified to be there, just like most of the kids were. If you went to that sixth grade camp that I went to up there in Northern California, you probably had a terrible time, just like us, if you went there. And if you were in that 10% of people who had a great time, then you should find everyone else who went to that camp and apologize to them, because it was your fault that they had a terrible time if you loved being at sixth grade camp. It was a brutal place. And yet, I found the little red haired girl. Now, I was too terrified to go up and talk to her. I would just watch her from afar. She was in my group we had groups for our activities and going out hiking. And we would hike in the woods, and everyone would get ticks in their socks and get Lyme disease. And then we would learn how to make a shelter out of branches and trees. And I would just watch her across the clearing. I'd just look at her and think, boy, I could be your shelter. I could protect you from the rain and the ticks out here if only you would let me. Except I'm terrified to talk to you, so I'm not even going to learn your name. I would just watch her every day. And every night at the dances, we had dances at sixth grade camp. They were in the cafeteria where we would eat dinner, and then they wouldn't mop the floor after dinner. I think they just sprayed it with some cleaning material, and they would take the tables, move the tables away, and spray down some cleaning material, and they made us all take our shoes off for the dance. And so we went in there in our socks, and then we would leave, and the floor would just be sparkly clean after we had all danced on it in our socks. And our socks were always covered with peas and carrots and pieces of hamburger. And at those dances, too, most of us were just terrified to ask a girl to dance, to go dance ourselves. A lot of us just had no rhythm at all. We would watch the other kids and see what they're doing with their feet and try to imitate it. But at those dances, I'd watch the little red-haired girl from afar. And I'd just stare at her and watch her. But of course, I'm terrified. I didn't have the nerve to go talk to her, much less ask her to dance. So I would just turn to the kid Johnny in my class and I try to imitate the moves he was making with his shoe, with his feet, his shoeless feet, and then he would make fun of me for imitating him. He'd say, "Get your own dance moves, David." So I just kept falling lower and lower on that sixth grade totem pole. I mean, I wasn't the lowest though. There was always a kid who was less popular than you. And in that cruel Lord of the Flies way, that always made you feel a little better knowing that someone was lower than you were. Now, in our sixth grade camp, that person, well, the kids, they called her Froho. She was she was a white girl with blonde hair, and her hair was very curly, and she had it all grown out. And so she had the kind of hairdo that the kids called a fro. And because she was a white blonde girl with a fro, they started making fun of her and they called her Froho. And I mean, it's terrible, terrible. Kids are cruel, kids are mean. But at the time, though, when you're in that Lord of the Flies world, you're not thinking objectively. You're just thinking, how can I not be at the very, very bottom of the totem pole? So at least you take consolation that someone's below you. It's a cruel world to be in. But I thought, hey, at least I'm not Froho, okay. And I kept watching the little red-haired girl. I had a few friends from my class. We would hang out together. We would kind of group with all the other kids who had no rhythm at the dances. And the DJ at the dance, they would play those 80s songs, you know, the one about liking big butts and the song about hey ho, and I have no idea who sang it, but they would play the same list of 10 songs every night. And we would just stand there at the dances and I would watch the little red-haired girl, and the next day we'd go on hikes and I would watch her from the opposite end of our group of students. I'd just watch her. She had beautiful strawberry blonde hair that I imagined it actually smelled like strawberries. She had these rosy cheeks, full lips, and she had just a bit of a pout to her face that almost made her look like she needed to be comforted. I thought, if only I could talk to her, if only I had the nerve, maybe we could comfort each other in this Lord of the Flies world out here in the woods and the redwoods of Northern California, where the cabins only have 4 walls and you have to take showers with other guys and everyone stays in their tidy whities because you're terrified to get totally naked, and it's just a terrifying place. But I didn't dare to go up to her. And then on the last night, my ship came in. On the last night, on that last dance of the last night, I was standing there trying to imitate some of the dance moves of Johnny, trying to let Johnny not notice I'm copying his moves. And the music is going, hey, ho! And because it's that fast song going, you know there's probably a slow song coming up after that. And then one of the little red-haired girl's friends comes up to me. She walked across the dance floor. She comes up to me and she said, hey, Amber wants to know if you'll dance with her. She picked me out of all the people. She picked me. I couldn't believe it. I said, yeah, sure, let's go. Let's go to Amber. And I followed her friend across the crowd of all the 6th graders dancing, and I followed her on my way to Amber. I had no idea why had she even noticed me. Why did she look at me? And I didn't care. I didn't care. I didn't even know that her name was Amber, but fine. Well, we walk across the dance floor, and then finally her friend said, okay, there she is. I looked at it. I didn't see the little red-haired girl anywhere. What do you mean there she is? Well, Amber, my friend Amber, she's right there. She's waiting for you. The next song you can dance with her. And I looked, and that was not the little red-haired girl at all. And that was when I realized that it was all wishful thinking on my part. And I realized that I had no reason to believe that the little red-haired girl I had a crush on was even named Amber. And I had no reason to believe that this girl was her friend. It was all in my head. I wanted it to be true. And so I decided it had to be true. Turns out the little red-haired girl was not Amber. Amber is the name of the girl that all the boys were calling Froho, the girl with the big curly mop of yellow blonde hair. That's who her friend was pointing at. That's who I agreed to dance with. I mean, shocked. I didn't want to dance with Froho. I knew what that would do to my social standing, already really low here at sixth grade camp. But I went for it anyway. They started playing a slow song next. It was probably Take a Bow or Say Goodbye. Those were the two slow songs they would play. And so I put my hands on her shoulders and we danced in that sixth grade Frankenstein way with your arms fully stretched out, not even getting close to each other. And we're dancing and I just kind of chatted and I said, so your name's Amber, huh? Yeah, uh-huh. Oh, really? Because the guys are calling you Froho. Oh, well, that's not my name. Oh, it's not Froho. It's Amber? Yeah, it's Amber. Oh, cool. Huh. And we danced through the song and then we said goodnight. And that was the end of it. After that, I never talked to Amber or to the little red-haired girl again. And I'm telling this story now, all these years later. The reason I'm telling this story is not to tell it as a love letter to the little red-haired girl. Because we all had somebody like that in our mind when we were young, when we were adolescents. We all had somebody that we idealized, that we developed an infatuation over, and we just turned into this whole archetype in our heads without even knowing that person. But those aren't the people to write the love letters to. No. The people to write love letters to are the Ambers out there. Because those are the people who have really had to live life. And they've had to live through life dealing with some hard stuff. And they've had to weather the storms of bullying and of cruelty of other kids. And it's developed character. Those are the people who really grow up to be the kind of people that you want in your life. Whether it's you want them as a husband, as a wife, or to want them as a friend, as a sister, as a brother. So this is dedicated to all the Ambers out there. All the people who had to go through that cruelty of adolescence came out on the other end the better for it and have really developed the character to be the kind of people that we all want in our lives. So for all the Ambers out there, thanks for being out there and thanks for hanging in, because it does get better after the cruel Lord of the Flies world of adolescence and sixth grade camp.